What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Preppers Live. Oh, wow. Wrong screen. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again today with another live stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever topic I've come up with for the week. And this week is no exception. I'm not seeing any Twitch chat in the overlay, which is interesting. But if you haven't noticed yet, we're streaming on Twitch. We're only on Twitch today. I'll talk about that in just a minute once I figure out why we don't see chat. Oh, probably because I'm not using a restream. So restream's not picking up on the chat. Let me see. Just do a little, live diagnosis real quick. Let's see, Twitch chat overlay. Is it stream spinning already? I saw some spinning in the preview window. Oh, really? That's weird. I hope it doesn't do that again. So, I'm sorry, give me 1 second, folks. I'm trying to see if Twitch has its own chat overlay plugin, because I don't know why it's not working currently. Like I said, today's an experiment, so we're just, figuring it out live. Let's see, there's some kind of alerts. Open IRC on a side window, maybe. We'll see. There's a get started. Yeah, whatever. Create alert box, chat. Can I say chat? Can you give me chat? Or is this only alerts? Hype chat. I don't know what hype chat is. All right, we may not see chat on screen today if this doesn't pull out real quick. So anyway, let me just get started with the intro. So I'll say hello to the folks who are here so far. Voices of Cats, Benoit, Alejandro, Gunn is here, Glenn, Jeff, Fade, Wakame Nod. Who else? Didev X. Yes, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Lower turnout this time, probably because I didn't have a notification that popped up on YouTube to remind people to come in. But that's okay. We're trying it out. I didn't really give anybody any warning that this is going to happen, so this is my fault. It's what happens when you spend some of the day thinking a little bit too much about everything, and then you just decide last minute to do things. All right, I'm going to do one thing real quick here, which may slow the stream down. Sorry, folks. Let me just see if I can get this quickly worked out, because I would like to have the stream chat showing up correctly. Was it Stream Labs? Yeah, my computer is probably sweating right now. Come on. Come on. I'm on the other machine trying to get the stream chat working correctly. Labs? Is it Elements? What do I use? Elements? Oh, I have to log in using my YouTube account. Back. Sorry, folks. I promise it will be just one more second. You know, I think I probably had the same problem with Flux Harmonic too. I had to re-log into Streamlabs on my Twitch account to get the chat to show up. Yeah. Does this thing not know about me already? Skip. Man, get out of my face. Sorry, like, I love being just like slammed through some kind of crazy marketing flow as soon as you log into a website for what seems to be the first time. Hey, Peter. Oh, Jeff says, trickier to get Twitch to cast on my Roku TV. Oh boy, okay. Alejandro says, improve the IRC experience by opening IRC. Yeah, I suppose that's one thing you could do. Okay, maybe I should try to reload that plugin now. Where is that chat widget? Let's see. Refresh cache of current page. Refresh. Where's my chat box? All widgets. Because previous weeks it was actually showing chat from Twitch, so it's interesting that it stopped. Is it on there now? No. Okay, whatever. Let's not waste more time on that. Sorry about that, folks. Hello to iFitspat. Okay, all right. Now I'm back. I'm focused. I'm here. Okay, so today's topic is improving the IRC experience. We'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, let's go through the updates. First of all, I finished the Autumn Lisp Game Jam. I suppose I finished it to some definition of finished. I at least got the game working end to end. Quite a few of you were there through various streams on the Flux Harmonic channel last week, so thank you for those of you who joined in. So by the very end, the last stream, we did get the end-to-end sort of Klondike Solitaire flow working. And I got the game published up on itch.io. We submitted it to the jam. I ended up getting 10th out of 16, which is fine because I wasn't really trying to like win or anything. But I think the lack of creativity because it's a solitaire game is what dragged me down the most. But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about using Guile Hoot to develop something. And I see a lot of activity happening in the Guile Hoot repo, which shows me that really soon we're going to have a lot more functionality available to write better scheme apps with less JavaScript code. So I'm quite excited about trying to get that ported over to the newer version of Hoot as soon as that comes out. I'll probably work on it a little bit early before it gets published because why not? I mean, I have access to the code. I can build it in Geeks, so it's pretty easy to do that. So I'm pretty curious to experiment and rewrite all that JavaScript code so I don't need really any. I mean, just maybe some basic bootstrapping code, but other than that, I shouldn't need to have any code for rendering. I can just do it all straight in Scheme, which should be pretty cool. So the code for that's on Codeberg. If you're interested, codeberg.org/fluxharmonic, you'll find that link there in the repo list. I don't want to have to read that out to you. It's also in the show notes, which... Now that I think about it, we don't have a link to the show notes in the description anymore because there is no show notes on Twitch. Interesting implication. So yes, as I mentioned, today's an experiment. We're streaming only on Twitch. So the question has been asked, why? Well, there's a few reasons, and they're not necessarily very strong reasons, but I'm sort of, I have some theories that I'm trying to experiment with. So number one, streaming on two platforms simultaneously dilutes the viewer base. It makes it so that there's people on 2 different platforms, so you don't see how many people are actually in the stream at the same time, which is kind of an annoyance for me because I can't really tell how many people are on, because I'm only watching the YouTube side whenever I'm streaming for all the rest of the week. So I'm looking at the YouTube stream dashboard basically to see how many people are watching. So I only see how many people are coming in from YouTube. I never know who's on from Twitch. I really never pay attention to Twitch. I just found out today that we have 500 followers on the System Crafter Twitch, but I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm completely tuned out on what's going on at Twitch. Luckily, we've had the Restream chat that pulls things over from Twitch. That's probably one that hasn't been working, because Restream was the one pulling the Twitch messages over to YouTube, and that was showing up in the chat overlay. So now it's all coming together for me on that front. But because people are split on 2 platforms, it makes the stream more complex from a communication standpoint, because the people who are on Twitch are having a worse experience because they're getting like delayed versions of the messages, because messages from the YouTube side get mirrored over to Twitch, but they are slow. And then the people who are sending messages from Twitch to YouTube, those come in slow as well. So they come up way later, and I respond to them way later. So it feels like having everybody in one place is better for the interactivity standpoint. Also, having everybody in one place means that the number of viewers at the same time is higher because they're all in one place. And for a platform like Twitch, where they will kind of recommend you to other people in the sort of feed on the left side, if people see that there are like 30, 40 people on a stream, they're more likely to click on it than if they see 10, let's say, because usually it's about 10 who are usually here on System Crafter streams on Friday. So it could help from a discoverability standpoint to have new people find the channel and watch the streams. It's something I want to see if it actually happens. I don't really know yet whether it will happen. There's also a lot of features on Twitch that are made for stream interactivity, which I think are kind of interesting, that I haven't really experimented with because I've been trying to just make things work across both platforms without really too much extra stuff. So we might try to experiment with a little bit of that. I don't really want this to become like one of those weird kind of like overly crazy, Twitch streams, but I would like to improve the quality of the stream and make it more like a live stream rather than just me like recording a video while you chat with me at the same time. Another thing is that Twitch allows you to connect to the chat via IRC. So those of you who would prefer to use an IRC client to chat with other people on the Twitch chat could actually do that. I know some people have, like I think Benoit has done it. I think Fade may have done it. Maybe Alejandro has done it. So it is possible to use an IRC client to get into the chat for the stream, which is pretty cool. Uh-oh, there's ads right now. Who all is seeing an ad at the moment? I guess you can't tell me if you're seeing an ad. Jeez. It didn't give me any notice that it was going to do that. All right, so maybe I'll see in a second. No ads? Okay. Benoit's on MPV. That's a smart play, I think. So, where was I? Yes, you could do the 20-second ad popped up for Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. So, no ads for Peter. Okay, good. Good to know that not everybody got hit with that. I don't really know why. Benoit says MPV plus ERC. That's a true crafter at work. Okay, only on open. That's what I prefer. Like if you see an ad like at the beginning, whenever you open the stream, and not like repeatedly throughout the stream, that's better. Okay, so IRC chat, that's another reason. And also, like, one thing that's kind of bothered me for a while is that, there was a time a couple of years ago, since I've been doing this for 3 years now, I don't know if you realize it, but I started in 2020 in October doing System Crafter streams, talking about Emacs, and now it's 2023, so it's 3 years. Quite a long time, at least from my perspective, because I didn't think I'd be doing it this long, so it's kind of funny. But the streams aren't quite as structured as they used to be. Like I don't have like a bunch of content prepared. I'm mostly just like doing things on the fly, which is fine, I think. Like I enjoy it. I think, you know, you guys enjoy it to some degree, like figuring out things live. But if I have to like schedule a stream and then it shows up on YouTube as if it's like sort of like a fully formed video with a title that sounds like it really has content in it, and there's really not much content in it, or I'm just sort of like bumbling around for 2 hours, I don't know, I just feel a little bit guilty about that. So maybe that's just me. Maybe people are fine with it. But for me, I kind of feel like if I'm doing the live streams on Twitch where it seems more ephemeral, I suppose, then I could potentially take the meaningful bits of quote unquote content that come out of any given stream, cut that down to a smaller video, and actually make it a video that shows up on the channel. That doesn't replace more polished tutorial videos that are like really planned out end to end. But I think that since I don't do a whole lot of those tutorial videos anymore, maybe having some trimmed down videos that actually do have some content to them that come from streams could be beneficial to people on the channel. I also heard a comment on Reddit today that kind of made sense to me, which is that the YouTube recommendation algorithm promotes channels that have a higher watch time on videos, higher average watch time. And if you have a bunch of stream recordings on your channel, if people aren't watching much of the stream recordings, like let's say you turn on a stream recording and you watch 20 minutes of a 2-hour stream, it seems like you didn't watch very much of that video. So over time, the recommendation of your channel goes down rather than up because of that lack of, percentage of watch time on average. I think that it could be actually hurting the System Crafters channel in terms of recommendations. I don't really know for sure. I know that certain metrics, like views, have gone down over time. The way that I explain that to myself is that I haven't been posting normal videos as much. And also people aren't as interested in clicking on 2-hour stream recordings, which also makes sense. But I didn't think about the other aspects of like the sort of the metrics in the algorithm that account for some of this recommendation stuff. So I don't really know. Like it does make sense to have stream recordings on YouTube. I may still do that. I might have to make a second channel for the stream recordings if I determine that the recommendation stuff is going down. However, I don't know how much I care. System Crafters to me as a channel is not as much of a like major effort. Like I'm not trying to build and grow the channel at the moment. I do enjoy live streaming a lot. I like hanging out with you guys a lot. And I think there's a lot that I could still do as far as making videos is concerned. There's a lot I want to talk about with Geeks and Guile especially. But I'm not really trying to like maximize the number of people who find the channel. Flux Harmonic, on the other hand, I would like to start ramping that up a little bit. So basically what I'm trying to say is I don't really know how much I care about the metrics, but I'm still thinking. Like I'm thinking in terms of how to do all this the right way. So that's why I'm sort of experimenting with this approach to see what happens. Let's see. OmniVV says that's what Twitch streamers usually good. That's what Twitch streamers do usually. Good strategy stream and ramble as much as you like on Twitch and cut highlights to YouTube. Yeah, I think it's better. I mean, it's better quality for. Benoit says David is much for a streamer now. I mean, I enjoy streaming a lot. I want to do streaming more, actually. I would like to do streaming like multiple days per week. It's just hard to, find the time for that. But I may try to do it. We'll see. Flux Harmonic, though, because I have actual projects I want to work on. I don't really think it's really appropriate for System Crafters to do, game development. So that's why I probably use a different channel. So that's basically it. That's why I'm going to experiment with Twitch a little bit. If people hate the fact that I did it this way this week, I'll take that into consideration for next week. I may still just tweak the way that I do things. So yeah, if you have feedback, certainly let me know. There's no comments on the video anymore because there's no video at the moment. So you'll have to let me know on Matrix or IRC. Well, not IRC because I'm not really in there as much. Matrix or Fostodon or Mastodon for now, I guess, or email. You can just email me, david@systemcrafters.net if you want. If I read it. All right, enough rambling. So, something's been bothering me for a while now. And you may have wondered this also. What happened to our IRC? Now, if you are one of the folks who have been hanging out in the IRC, you're probably wondering what happened to all the people. And the answer to that question is that the Matrix.org, like sort of primary Matrix server, where we currently have the System Crafters channels that were supposed to be bridged over to IRC, they have turned off their integration to bridge Libra Chat IRC channels into Matrix. The problem was that the bridge became extremely unstable. And if any of you have been hanging out in the, which a few of you definitely do, have been hanging out in the Matrix or the IRC, you probably noticed there were a lot of dropped messages, or just the bridge stopped working entirely, like all the Matrix NICs dropped out of IRC and vice versa. It started happening a lot more frequently. And then one day they decided to just deactivate it because they wanted to. Libra Chat decided to deactivate the Matrix bridge, or they asked the maintainers of the Matrix.org home server to deactivate the Matrix bridge for Libra Chat until they fixed their problems, because there were just major bugs or something. Probably to do with the way that it's implemented, but we'll get into that later. They asked them to disable it. And I think they tried to re-enable it a couple times and it didn't really work out. And then there was some other issues with like privacy, because apparently Matrix.org started having this archive bot show up in a bunch of different chat rooms and start logging all the channels, when Libra Chat explicitly has a policy where channels are not supposed to be logged without notifying users first. So there were a few reasons why Libra Chat said, okay, let's just turn it off for good. At least until they fix some of their issues. And for now, like, it's been how long? Maybe 2 months? Benoit says this was over a few months ago. They asked to fix. Matrix said, yeah, it's coming, and they never fixed it. Yeah. So if you read this article, Matrix Bridge Temporary Shutdown, a retrospective, there's a lot of information here basically about how all this went down. And the sad part is that, I don't know, was it like April or May when I decided, okay, let's cut the Discord. We're going to kill the Discord entirely. We're going to move everybody over to Matrix with a bridge to IRC, so you can pick which side you want to be on, and everybody's all together in one place. It's a bright new future. Everything's going to be perfect, right? Well, it was great at first. We had a lot of activity in the Matrix chat, which translated over to IRC. Everybody was having a good time. But then all these problems started, and then it got shut off. So the other sad fact of this is that nobody really knew what was happening. I think Benoit told me about this whenever the blog post showed up, or I heard it from somewhere. And we didn't know that the people on the IRC side were not showing up anymore. You know, one day I'm just like, where's Case? Like, I haven't heard from Case in a while. And turns out that like he was probably just talking to nobody for a while. I don't know. There's a few people who do hang out on the IRC side, but I joined there today and it was quite quiet. So yeah, it made me feel really bad because I didn't know that it was happening, and there wasn't really anything I could do about it at that point. Benoit has been looking into solutions for maybe setting up our own bridge, but it actually turns out that the two major bridges that seem to have the best features actually require you to have admin access to the Matrix home server that you want to bridge to IRC. And we don't have that on Matrix.org. It's their server. They're not going to give me admin access to set up a bridge to just bridge over the System Crafters channels. So either we use another bridging strategy or we think of another solution entirely. And I don't want to have to move people again, but I'm starting to think maybe trying to land on Matrix was a bad idea, and maybe we should have just stuck with IRC to begin with. The reason why I decided to use Matrix, which I probably explained this back in the stream where I talked about, moving from Discord to Matrix, is that there were a lot of people who were using Discord at the time, and I wanted them to be able to join a platform that felt more familiar. At the very least, to have like a scroll back buffer so that you can see the history of the channels and you can like join and then sort of see what people have been talking about rather than just joining with no history whatsoever. And Matrix seemed like the best free and open source software, open protocol solution. And we also had the emint.el package by Alpha Papa, which everybody, well, not everybody, but most people in the System Crafters Matrix chat have been using, which is, a great package, works really well. Laggy whenever Matrix is laggy. It's not emint's fault, it's Matrix's fault. Like today, super laggy. So we're kind of at a point where we have to decide whether we're going to have the community be fragmented or if we're going to have to move again and hopefully make a final move to IRC. And the point of the stream today is to see if there's a way that we can provide a better IRC experience to make up for the loss of what we might have had in Matrix, so that someone can join the System Crafters IRC and not feel completely alienated, or they could have at least some benefits of things like a history buffer and maybe a little bit more modern interface. Now, for me, I'm totally fine using RC IRC and Emacs. There's plenty of you here who are fine using ERC or IRSSI or whatever else, BitchX, who knows. So it's fine for us, like the people who are kind of acclimated to IRC. You've probably got your own bouncer set up, you know how to deal with that stuff, whatever. But for the other folks who aren't necessarily, from the 90s internet scene, or who haven't really dug into that kind of technology, they probably need a better interface. One thing I've been looking into is a platform called the Lounge.Chat. And this is actually kind of nice. It is a self-hostable server, which Benoit says, do you mean we're old? Yeah, we're old. I mean, I can say that I'm old. I'm 40, so yeah. So yeah, but that's not a bad thing. I mean, like, think about it. We have all this history in our heads from the internet whenever it was young and things were exciting. Now things aren't quite as exciting anymore. Okay, so let me answer a question in the chat. In fact, let me answer questions in the chat because I'm sure that things have come up. I need to check it out real quick. Benoit says, I messaged Case on XMPP. He's still alive. Yeah, I see him on Fediverse, and I joke around with him there. But yeah, I kind of feel like I let him down. Let me just scan back a little bit. Benoit says, let's have an IRC party on Libra Chat. Well, I do want to have an IRC party for sure. I miss IRC. I don't know, like Matrix just feels clunky to me, and I really miss the simplicity of IRC. All right. Alejandro says, it's coming to an end. Gun had to leave. Sorry, Gun. See you next time. Benoit says, let's go back to the IRC with Soju. Soju is not bad. Need to package it for geeks. The experience with Soju actually was pretty good for me. I was using chat.sr.ht from SourceHut for a little while, and it's pretty nice. It's not bad. I kind of like it. ZNC is nice. A lot of people use ZNC as an IRC bouncer. Basically, what an IRC bouncer is, it's like a middleman server where you set up a bouncer and you configure it to connect to your IRC network of choice, and then you can connect your IRC client to the bouncer, and then that bouncer stays connected to IRC all the time, and it's buffering all the messages from all the chats that you're in. And then when your client reconnects to the bouncer, it just blasts all that history back to you so that you see what you've been missing while you were out. Otherwise, if you just connect directly to the IRC server whenever you want to connect, all you see is what's happening right now. You don't get any history back buffer, which is kind of disturbing to people who are used to Discord or Slack or any of the other more modern chat platforms, because they're used to seeing history every time that they join up. So I want to solve that problem in general for people. And Soju and the Gamja, I think, or what's the web browser chat that they have? There is a chat thing that SourceHut makes. Let's see, Soju web client. It's got a different name. Okay, it's Gamja. Gamja's not bad. It's pretty cool. It's very basic, but honestly, okay. For some people, it would be cool. I think that we kind of need something a little bit more friendly, though, which is why I want to point out the Lounge in just a second. Benoit says Matrix without bridges is worse than IRC. With IRC, Soju, ZNC, or Bibumi and 0x0, we get the same. Yeah, if there's a few things we can put together. So iFitspat, hello, says self-host Matrix. I did actually pay to get a hosted Matrix server up around the time that we moved to Matrix. And I had it set up under systemcrafters.net. Would have been really cool. It was all fast and snappy. We had our own bouncer set up. But in the end, I decided to stick with matrix.org because I figured out how to plumb channels correctly over to IRC to give sort of like a seamless experience. And because I figured that out, it seemed like it was better to stay on the main Matrix server because, you know, it's maintained. A lot of people are there, and I don't have to worry about, you know, me maintaining something and it going down and like me having to figure it out. But I think in the end, it would have been better to go with our own server so that we wouldn't have this problem. We could have just sidestepped the whole thing because we would have had our own bouncer. So if I were to do it over again, I would definitely have stuck with our own home server that's hosted. That way you could create an account there, or you don't even really have to create an account. If you have an account on matrix.org, you can talk to channels on another server. So that would have been a solution. But now, if I were to go do that, we would have to move everybody over to the new set of channels. And if we're gonna move everybody anyway, I think I wanna take another opportunity to sort of rethink what we're doing before we go that route, just to see if we can simplify things further, because I don't wanna have to go through this again. Let's see, Voices of Cat says, Matrix server is notoriously heavy. Yeah, definitely Synapse is heavy. If you think about how, well, if you've ever used the Matrix API, you're constantly like polling it, which is not so bad because you don't get like a full response every single time. You have these tokens where you send it the token that you got from your last request, and it only gives you like the updated stuff since the last request. So it's not as heavy, but you do have just, you know, thousands of clients just slamming you, boom, 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 all the time. It's not like having persistent connections open. If you had, you know, TCP ports, which I guess that has its own weight in a way, but I feel like there's more overhead to dealing with, you know, constant HTTP polling requests. They probably have a cache in front of it, who knows? But I don't know. That I could be wrong about that. Let's see. Alejandro says, we're not old, just seasoned. Yes, I agree. Parent says, those BBS doors. Yes. You know, I wish I had like gotten in on the whole BBS thing. I missed that. I only got in on like really small local ISPs and America Online. Alejandro says, Matrix is good, very good. IRC is great. Well, IRC is great because it's lightweight and easy to connect to from a variety of clients, but it does have, you know, critical issues with history not being easily accessible. Fade brings up a good point. Just nail up your IRC client and screen or tmux in a shell server, permanently solved. How well does that work on a phone? I suppose if you use something like Mosh, is it Mosh? M-O-S-H screen. Yeah, Mosh, the mobile shell. If you use Mosh, maybe this is pretty easy to do. Hey, Yele, nice to see you. Let's see. Yeah, intermittent connectivity, et cetera, et cetera. I know Summer Emacs was talking about this one day. I've seen it for years. I've never actually tried it. Is it on mobile? I'm guessing you could probably get it on Termux. Termux, yeah, Termux adds a Mosh package. So in theory, you could just use Mosh and have like a server somewhere where you've got an IRC client. But I mean, it's not your Emacs unless you have an Emacs session somewhere that's purely for IRC and you do that. So I don't know. So Benoit says, we definitively need a bouncer if we want people to go IRC. Otherwise, it will create a bunch of disconnect spam on the channels. Well, I mean, aside from that, I just want people to have a good experience with it and not feel like they're losing the quality of the experience they would be getting otherwise. So yeah. But the thing about IRC is there's multiple ways for people to get whatever experience they want, which I like better. Just like Fade said, Fade is wind up boy in the chat. Just like Fade said, if you want, you can have a terminal IRC client set up and you can SSH into that or use Screen or whatever. and just rejoin that. You don't have to worry about a bouncer at all because you have a permanent connection to IRC in your client. You just reconnect to that terminal. Or you have a bouncer, or you don't care about a bouncer. You just connect with your IRC client directly, or you use a fancy web client. There's even like web clients that you can host on a web page, and they can connect directly to IRC from the browser without any intermediate server. So we could have like a web page on systemcrackers.net that you could use to join the IRC without having to do anything special. Or we can host this thing like the lounge, which is kind of in the middle, where you have a nice modern looking client page and a user has their own account. And when they sign in with their account, they actually have history for the channels. So there's sort of a gradient of features that you can get from IRC, which I think gives a lot more flexibility for the different folks who want to join. And we're not really getting that right now with Matrix. As we see, we are beholden to whatever Matrix.org decides to do unless we host our own home server. And I don't know, like I just feel like even though it is possible to write a Matrix client in a fairly straightforward fashion, and there's a really good one in Emacs already, as we've seen, it still feels like more overhead than IRC and less flexibility. So that's my thinking at the moment. Benoit says, might as well move to IRC. Yeah, I keep thinking more and more. Benoit says, Element on mobile is a battery hog. I haven't noticed that, but I do notice that it often forgets my connection and I lose push notifications for messages. So sometimes people will ping me in channels, and since I haven't like rejoined the chat on Emacs for a few days because I'm busy doing something, distracted by something, whatever, I don't get those notifications on my phone, and I don't know that people have been trying to talk to me. So I'm missing things completely. Same thing could happen with IRC, obviously, if you don't have a bouncer set up. But at least the expectation with Matrix is that you would actually get reliable push notifications from the server whenever someone tries to contact you. So if you don't get that, then it's kind of feels pointless in a way. Jeff says, BBS was cool. Don't really miss him, though. Yeah, I mean, things have gone a long way since BBS, but there is kind of a charm to the old BBS servers. Nprin says, AOL and IRC was always K-banned by a bot from me. Fade says, if you have an SSH client, it works as well as any other text input app. Yes. Benoit says, for the phone, I'm planning for Biboomi. We should look at Biboomi today. I know I've been talking for 45 minutes, but I kind of do want to take a look at that just to sort of understand it a little bit better. Jeff says, IRC on a phone? What? Why even? Because you want to stay connected. I don't know. I mean, I quite enjoyed using IRC on the phone with an app called Revolution IRC. I was joining the System Crackers channel and talking to people, and it worked really well, surprisingly. Fade says, Summer's primary concern is the mobile experience. Yes, and it probably is for a lot of people. This is why I kind of want to make sure the experience is still good for people who aren't on their computer all day, because I don't want to exclude anyone who might want to join the chat. I really don't want to exclude anyone. Fade said, there are IRC apps for all phone platforms, but I don't know what quality they are. Yes, generally on Android, many of them that I've seen have not been very good quality, except for Revolution IRC. Now, there's also a mobile app being developed. Let's see, Gamja mobile app. It's called something else. What's it called? Goguma mobile app. I don't know if it's on iOS, but it's definitely on Android. I didn't like it that much, though. It kind of seemed a little bit weird. I don't like the way the UI looks, but it did work. So this is an app that's made to connect to the Soju bouncer. Apparently it's a little bit more modern. So it's okay. But I did like Revolution IRC better. Revolution IRC. Yeah, so this is the one that I was using, and you can't really see it here. But, man, there's no screenshots anywhere. Whatever. Anyway, it's a good app. Inprint said, is there any difference to having web accessible backlogs? Well, you know, web accessible backlogs are useful for searchability. It's good for that reason. But at the same time, I don't know that I like having logs be public, like just public for any random passerby to come see. Not that I think that we have anything to hide, but I think that a lot of people, when they come into a chat room and start chatting, they don't really think that anything they say is just going to show up on a web page somewhere. So I'm a little reluctant to set that up unless there's like a password protected thing in front of it. Maybe if you, sign up for an account on a website where we have chat stuff set up and you can go search the logs there, that would be okay, I think. Glenn says, if I can set up a bouncer, then it can't be that difficult. Yes, it's not that bad. The thing is, ZNC requires a little bit more configuration to actually get a good setup going, I think. Like, you don't get the history replay by default. I think you have to like tweak some things to get that. At least that was my experience. So it didn't feel like something that I would want to recommend to someone else to have to go set up. I would prefer to like have something set up for them so they don't have to do it themselves. Voice of Cat says, Pounce Bouncer has some push capability, but I never poked it. Haven't heard of that. Yeah, Gojuma. Yeah, or Goguma. What was it called? Voice of Cats. Inprint says, slightly waiting for the solution to be Hoot IRC Client. You know, I had not actually thought about that, but that's not a bad idea. You know, I was thinking about the possibility of having our own solution for this. Like, the lounge is written for Node. It's written in TypeScript. I almost said a different thing. It's written in TypeScript, which is fine. But if I wanted people in this community to hack on it with me, to like improve it and change it and whatnot, then not quite as easy to accomplish that. It's open source, which is great. It does seem like the main person who wrote this now got a job at Vercel, and I think is not really like actively working on it anymore. So I don't really know. I mean, it works great. Seems fine. Everything's good. It just, I don't know if it's getting any major improvements at this point. So that could be a reason to possibly go a different direction. Now, if we had a Guile-based server, which could connect to IRC and do the same kind of bouncer type activities and just do it in a very streamlined way, and then have a client that was written potentially with Hoot, which I think would be super cool. Then we could have like a scheme up and down kind of client server stack for an IRC interface, which could be better. We could make something ourselves. But that is a project that requires work. So, you know, all these things have to be taken into consideration. I have considered it though, yes. Glenneth says, I use Revolution on my phone. Yeah, it's good stuff. Benoit says, yeah, messages are time sensitive. We should document information everywhere. It's so easy to abuse logs. Yeah, I think it's better, like if people are talking about things that need to stand the test of time, like if people are asking questions and getting help, it would be better if we collectively as a community were like storing some of that information in FAQs, various places. In fact, on the System Crafters website, I actually do have a FAQ section that has not been used yet. I haven't really linked to it, but my goal eventually was to have like a like frequently asked questions about Emacs, frequently asked questions about geeks, where if people, you know, saw something recurring as a frequently asked question and wanted to add it to the list, they could come to the page, edit it, and add that so it shows up on the main site. I just haven't gotten back to it. Let's see. Fade says IRC clients are trivial. Yes, IRC clients are not that bad. That's another benefit of IRC, is that to implement the protocol, at least to get the sort of mainline functionality working, is not so bad. Even if you try to implement some of the IRC v3 extensions, like emoji reactions on messages and stuff like that, it's not that bad. I mean, this is like plain text protocol stuff. It's not hard to really wrap your head around. So I kind of feel like, you know, it's a tractable thing to write a bouncer plus client that does things the way we want it to, at the level of friendliness that we want it to have, and also like history retention, that sort of thing. So I don't know. It is something that is possible to do. Fade says fat curation is a good idea. Yeah, man, there's just so many things that I think about doing that never really get completed. Frankly, I really start to think I have ADHD. I can't like finish a thought before the next one starts and I go off on some other tangent. So apologies to every one of you who I've left hanging because I've like disappeared and started doing something else, but that's just the way that the wind blows, apparently. Jeff knows what I'm talking about. Sorry, Jeff, I never review your PRs. Yes, squirrel, exactly. New shiny thing appears and the brain just goes and has fun. But you know, that's why I think streaming more frequently is not a bad idea for two reasons. One is that it actually gives me some accountability to work on certain projects that I have and try to make forward progress on them on a regular basis. And two, not being supremely focused on one thing for a long time is kind of good for streams, because some days you want to do one thing, some days you want to do another, and it just gives variety to the streams. So I'm thinking about doing that kind of thing for Flux Harmonic, like, you know, just switching back and forth between various projects, trying to see what kind of progress we can make. And yeah, doing it on this channel doesn't really feel right, but I don't know. I overthink this stuff constantly. So what can I say? All right. Let's take a quick look at the lounge, at least, because it is a good example of a more modern IRC experience that is pretty sweet, actually. I'm gonna go to this demo server. It's automatically, where's it taking us? It's taking us to the lounge. No, I think it's taking us to Libra Chat by default. So I'll just say David will test, teast, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. Demo user, I don't care. Channels, system crafters. I'm just gonna click connect. Now this is a web client, but I think it is actually connecting through a server. Why is it? Okay, there we go. So it's it does have a bouncer basically. So if you there's two things here. All right. There's two modes for the lounge. One mode is public mode, which you're seeing now. I just sort of jump into the server. You jump into the server and you do whatever you want, but if you refresh the page, then it loses your state entirely. There's also a private mode, which requires you to have an account on the server. And if you have an account, you can log in and it does store history back for you. I don't know how far back it stores, maybe like 10,000 lines or something, but it does store history so that you can log in and see the things that you missed while you were gone. I feel like this interface is pretty good for someone who isn't familiar with IRC. You can even do things like twitch.tv/systemcrafters. If you put a link in, it will expand like the preview of the link automatically. YouTube.com system crafters. Let's just put like a link to a YouTube video in and see what that does. Reason is to try Geeks in 2022. It's almost 2024 now, so I probably should, you know, update that. Does it insert the preview of that? No. Does it not do it? That's lame. Okay. Well, at least it didn't do that. But anyway, point being, it does feel a little bit more modern. You can even put emojis in by you know, doing the colon syntax, sort of like on GitHub, Rocket. Yeah, so you can do that. Now, people on the IRC side are probably just going to see the plain text message for that. Emoji Rocket, emoji Wave, etc. But it does feel a bit more modern. There's also themes and plugins. So if you go to the wheel here, I think if you go to appearance, you can select a different theme. So here I can select this morning theme, which is a bit darker. There's also other themes that are on the NPM package repo. So you can install other things. Oh, the emoji comes through. Wow, that's cool. Nice. Well, that actually is better in a way, because then at least people on the IRC side will see that. So in a way, I feel like this is a really good middle ground for the people who want to have a UI style experience and want to have like history. So this is something that is really conceivably self-hostable by us. We could have this set up. It could be hooked into the Libra Chat servers. A community member could ask for an account. It would be nice if we have an automated way to let them sign up. This software does not have a sign up form, but it's something we could potentially add ourselves because we can change the code. So the other thing is that if you've ever heard of progressive web apps, this is a progressive web app. If you are on this site on your phone in Chrome, maybe even in Firefox, in the little ... menu, the options menu or whatever in the browser, there is a button in there for installing the app to your phone. So then it actually becomes an app that you can install specifically for this instance of the lounge. So if we have our own instance like chat.systemcrappers.net or something, you can install an app specifically for that instance on your phone and then have notifications when people send you messages. I don't know how reliable that is I don't know how reliable that is, how well it stays connected in the background. It would be nice if it did. If it doesn't, then that is kind of a problem. But it is cool that you can install it as an app on your phone. So you don't need to have an IRC app at that point. You can just install this web page as an app on your phone and use that. I kind of think that's a good middle ground. Like if you have a decent looking app, has themes, you can get, decent looking interface, then that's a good middle ground experience. Replicating this by rewriting it ourselves would not be that easy. It is possible, but it would take a while. So having this in the meantime could be pretty good. That is assuming we want to ditch Matrix and want to go strictly IRC. So anyone who likes a mobile first experience, or wants to have history, then they could use this instead. Alejandro is disappointed because of IRC.twitch.tv. Is something wrong with it? Let me check the stream chat, actually. Modern IRC, odd combination of concepts. Yes, Jeff. Fade says the UX stuff is more complicated than the core client functionality. Yeah, it is. Well, it's gotten a lot better, to be honest. Like I've found that modern CSS and media queries take you a lot farther than they used to. You can do pretty well. It sucks, Jeff. Meetings are always getting in the way. Benoit says, I'd rather help support this than have to write that. I have more interesting code to write. I do agree with you. And I think that since it is like a Node app that's TypeScript or JavaScript, probably it isn't going to be that hard to add stuff to it. So we could just fork it and make whatever changes we want. Like, it could change the icons and, sort of add other things on the side. I mean, there is some possibility that we could just, fork it and just make whatever, make it do whatever we want. But one problem is that Node apps are not very well supported on Geeks. I would want to try to host it with Geeks because it is reproducible, but some things you kind of need to just host with Debian or something instead of trying to deal with Geeks, because Geeks makes things a little bit complicated in some ways. But anyway, I like this. I think it's pretty good. It's a good middle ground solution. Yele also does not like Node. Yeah, Node, I use Node all the time at work. It's fine. I like it. JavaScript is not bad either. But if you ask me what I would rather write, I would much rather write Scheme. So Fade says Debian is the way in the path server side. Yes, Debian is good stuff. What can I say? Also, this the Lounge app, if you go on their documentation, they say that you need like Node 10. And Node 10 has been out of long-term support for 4 or 5 years. So I think that the Node version that's in Geeks would probably work with that. Let's see. I think we at least have Node 12 maybe, right? Let's see. Node 18? Is that in non-Geeks? No. That's in the Geeks repo, isn't it? Yeah. So we got Node 18 LTS. Wow. Oh, Yele says you're welcome. Did you put that there? Good job. Let's see. All right. Jeff says ERC works fine for me on both Twitch and here concurrently. Yeah. Maybe an IRC web client written in Scheme. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Inprint says 10.24.1 is available too. Yeah, that's so old though. I think that it'd be better just to use 18 because there's been a lot of performance improvements in Node that happened in that time. So better to use the newer versions. So Fade says, maybe I'll roll IRC's protocol support into Callisto as a second supported protocol. Yeah, how's that project going? I have not been following the project hacking channel. I have no idea what's going on in there. Okay. So what next? One thing that Benoit was mentioning, which is an interesting thought, is this bouncer called Biboomi. And I know this is one that that Case, ACDW, uses. Basically, it's a bouncer from XMPP to IRC. I guess bouncer is kind of the wrong word for it. It's an IRC client that connects to your XMPP account. So you, as a user of XMPP or Jabber, a Jabber server, you have an account there, and then there is a Biboomi instance that's connected to the XMPP server, and then you, as the XMPP user, can connect to IRC channels through the Biboomi instance. The benefit there is that by virtue of XMPP itself, you get like back history of channels. But I don't think you get it past the point that you connected, because for each user, it's initiating a new connection to the IRC server at the time that you request it, and then it keeps it open. So then you get all the history, sort of like with ZNC. With ZNC, you're not getting the history past the point where you connected. You're just getting whatever has happened since you connected ZNC to the IRC server. So this is not as good as something like the Lounge. But now that I think about it, I wonder if the Lounge even has the ability to do back history. It might not. So that's something worth considering. Maybe nothing has the ability to do history on an IRC server reliably before the point at which you joined. So yeah, I don't really know what the best solution is for that. Theo Peckley has just followed us. Hello to Theo Peckley. Okay. Fade says, I've been looking for a new gig, so it's been going slow. Yeah, I hear you. Glenn says, this is too weird. IRC open for Twitch, Libra Chat, and the chat open on Twitch proper. Yes, we've got chat in too many places right now. I'm not sure what window to look at. Yes. Me either, to be honest. Let's see. Benoit says, no, it's only when you first log in. That's fine, though. It would also break the same rules Matrix broke. Yeah. When we were trying to do the move from Discord to Matrix, that was one concern that people on Discord had. It's like they want to be able to see things that have been discussed before they joined. I wonder how much it matters in the end, you know? Because, I mean, maybe like you join, you see an ongoing conversation that's already there, you can kind of contribute to it. But I think mainly what people want is to search for things that have already been discussed. And, if we did that, it would have to be in a way that is private, at least to the people who are part of the community, because I don't really want things to be searchable online. Yeah, Benoit says it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for us, that's for sure. I mean, like those of us who sort of know that you just join IRC and you just start talking, you know. Fade says, in IRC culture, our clients tend to be nailed up all the time, even when we're not there. Yeah, definitely through bouncers, etc. We should focus on capturing them elsewhere, says Benoit. I agree. So, I don't know, like, yeah, I tend to try to maximize the outcome of whatever it is we try to do. And I was really trying to do that with the whole Matrix situation. And I feel like we kind of got painted into a corner with that. So, IRC is simple. It seems better that way. Fade says in IRC the solution is bots. Well, that also is a good point. Fade says Matrix was good until it wasn't. Fade, I'm actually surprised that you stuck around on Matrix as long as you did. Alejandro says keep Matrix but make more private-ish conversations on IRC so it doesn't need history. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't want two places though, because I don't want two places I have to be in, and I don't want two places for everybody else to have to be in either. Fade says I really regret some of the people we lost. Me too. Yeah, I haven't seen Case in a while. I see him on Fediverse, but yeah. Definitely, there's Case and there's other people who were hanging out primarily in IRC that we definitely left behind. I think Yele is in our IRC, but not in the Matrix. So some other folks who are like Geeks contributors here, some folks, you know, various folks who, you know, I've been speaking to for a long time who are in here that are not in Matrix. So, you know, to leave behind people who have been in the community for a while or people who we would certainly want to hear from, I don't want that. You know, it just doesn't feel right to me. So in the end, if we make a change, we can't leave behind the people who joined on Matrix either. So we have to have some answer to help them to migrate over. And maybe it's not as big of a deal as I think it is, you know? And what I mean by that is maybe people are more willing to try something new, just check it out, and they could be willing to put up with a lack of super high quality if it's fun, you know? Like if the community is fun, it's fun to be there. You know, whenever we first set up the Matrix, it was crazy in there. Like it was just like constantly something happening. You know, IRC was like that too in the beginning. Then, you know, things faded out for a while and then they got, you know, it kind of has its ups and downs. Benoit says it would be interesting to see how Alpha Papa sees that. Yeah, we would definitely lose Alpha Papa, which would be unfortunate because it's nice to have him around to get his experience on things. Borussia says Emacs list bot that connects both to IRC and Matrix and bounce all IRC to Matrix. That is a possibility. I mean, writing a Matrix bot is not very hard. We could certainly have something that goes in between, but I still feel like if we have such a tenuous connection between the two, I don't know how nice it's going to be. Also, when you have that kind of bot, I don't know how easy it is to like mention people. Benoit says it would be like the restream bot. Yeah, that bot is not so bad, but that's kind of a limited situation where you have the restream bot only in a stream once per week. Yeah, it is noisy because it's got all the prefix stuff on it. So I don't know. Yes, exactly. So many namespace prefixes. So yeah, I don't know. I'm certainly open to feedback. I always love getting feedback from people on things like this, just to sort of get as many perspectives as possible to make a good decision. The ideal case is that we would not have to close down the Matrix. We could just keep things going, but that requires having a good solution for the bridging issue. If it ends up that the solution is to have our own home server for Matrix, then that's okay, but like it really needs to have a good connection to IRC. We can show Alpha Papa how IRC works. I'm sure he knows. He may be unhappy to go use IRC whenever he works on emint.el all the time. Oh, really? Fade says Alpha Papa used to join the IRC channel. Huh, interesting. Oh, but that's probably because the bridge worked back then. So way back, when I say way back, I mean like last year and the year before last, whenever we were hanging out primarily in IRC and certain people were using Matrix as a bouncer to IRC, things like that did work. Yeah, because of the Matrix bridge. But because more people started depending on the Matrix bridge, it started eating shit. Sorry for the bad language. And then we ended up in our current situation. Glenn says we lost ACDW and Trev. Yeah, I haven't seen Trev either. Is Trev in this channel? See, that's the thing that sucks. This channel kind of dries up. The IRC dries up and it just goes quiet entirely and they don't see any of the regulars there anymore. So they're like, well, nobody's here, so I might as well just like disconnect, and they don't come back. That's not cool. I don't like that. Fade says, I'd be willing to take a shot at writing a new bridge, but the server-side integrations are kind of a caution. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's possible to use something that exists. There are a couple things that exist already. Now, what is the one called? Heisenbridge. A bouncer-style matrix IRC bridge. Now, this is one that might require a app service setup. App service, yes, 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 yes. App service runs as an app service, requires a home server. Now, the whole thing? Yeah, I think this whole thing requires an app service. This is what I was saying earlier, where some of these bridges require you to be an admin because you have to hook in some configuration to the home server. So if you're not an admin on the server, then you can't do this. This is the bridge that was on the System Crafters Matrix that was set up briefly, and I never used it because we ended up just landing on the main Matrix server. But it probably would work fine if I was an admin on matrix.org. Matrix IRC bridge. There must be an existing one that, let's see. See, this page only mentions these two, and the Matrix App Service IRC is the official one that was being used for the Libra Chat bridge. Hello, Daniel42. So that one obviously is going to require admin access to hook things in. So yeah, either of those two can't really work. It seems like there should be another one though that doesn't require that, because Matrix has Matrix API Puppet types of bridging, portal rooms, plumbed rooms, bot API. Okay, virtual user based bridges. So a bot API, I think, is kind of like what you could use for this. Simple puppeted bridge, double puppeted bridge. The whole puppet thing is where you have like user accounts on both sides that look like you have a set of IRC users and a set of Matrix users, and they're coming from both places. That's helpful because an IRC user or a Matrix user can mention those users independently and also send them like private messages. But those are the hardest ones to set up because it requires like deep interaction with the Matrix APIs, which needs like admin access, I think. Bot API, I don't know if that one would be easier, but that may be more like the Restream bot type thing where you have like one bot account that is repeating the messages from IRC over to Matrix and vice versa. And that is a little bit more noisy, and IRC people don't like it so much because it's a single user bridge, like Benoit says in the chat. So I don't know. Benoit says Matter Bridge is something that people could run. Let's see, Matter Bridge. I think Matter Bridge bridges like 15, 20 different chat protocols, isn't it? It's kind of insane. Simple chat bridge. How could it be simple if it supports that many protocols? Better be a pretty generic API. Installing, upgrading, building. It's a Go project, of course. Matrix. Oh, come on now. I want you to tell me about the Matrix support. That's not what I'm asking for. Where's the docs? Manual. Documentation. Okay. Okay, so... Okay, authentication for your bot. So this is another bot-based bridge. If you're running this yourself, that could be fine. But yeah, if you're trying to run it for multiple users, I think it doesn't really work too well. What am I looking at? Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, what else then? So we were looking at Biboomi, but I stopped. So we got distracted on something else. So Biboomi, like I said, is a way to connect to IRC through XMPP. So if you have an XMPP server, which actually is quite easy to set up using Geeks. I have a server running right now that has been running for like a year that I don't really use. I had been experimenting with that as a possible chat server instead of Matrix, but the group chat experience and the Android clients are not so good. So I ended up not going with that in the end. But if you have XMPP already, then this could be one way to deal with that problem. Though it requires having a separate server for XMPP, and then it requires having the XMPP to IRC bouncer Biboomi here. And even still, I don't think you get such a great experience because you're not going to get history past the point where you connect your account through the bouncer to the server. Same kind of problem as before. You do get persistent history, I think. Let's see. Private conversations, supports multiple users and multiple servers. Channel listing. Message archive management support. Let's take a closer look at what that is. Okay. Query and control an archive of messages. So basically, if the server stores a bunch of messages, you could scroll back and get more. I think you're basically querying for more of the history. Sort of like in Matrix, if you use emit.el, if you join a room, you can scroll up in emit.el and it will go fetch earlier parts of the history to fill the back buffer. So that is something that this supports to a degree. I think that you still have to be connected for a while for it to work a lot. Let's see. I think Matrix bridges to XMPP, so AP could Matrix to XMPP to Biboomi to IRC. Yeah, that sounds intense and slow. Daniel says the European Union wants WhatsApp and others to be able to communicate with other messengers. Yeah, they should all be using XMPP, and that would just be for free, which Google and Facebook used to do, and then they stopped doing it, or at least it doesn't seem like they federate anymore. Does Google even have a chat solution anymore, or they just keep dropping it? Tell you what, man, Google in the 2000s, they were like the hot stuff when it came to all the web applications. You had Google Chat. Wasn't it Google Chat before it was Hangouts? And that was XMPP. And I remember I had my own XMPP server, but I was talking to people who were on Google Chat. It's called Google Chat now. Wikipedia, Google Chat. Because I think it was Google Chat back then too. Oh, it was Google Talk. Yeah, it was Google Talk. I forgot. Yeah, there was Meet also, but Talk was the one that was integrated into Gmail way back. Gchat, Gtalk, etc., etc. XMPP. Yeah. So this was the one that was, actually good back in the day. I think that I stopped using AOL Instant Messenger to use this instead because it was so much better. Yele says, please stop making me feel old. Yeah, well, I feel old too, so we're all going to have to feel that. Alejandro says, Case is no longer around because Biboomi won't connect to Matrix, so it implies a loss of some Matrix people. Yeah. Daniel says, WhatsApp is also XMPP based. I mean, any new one-on-one chat protocol should really be based on XMPP because it has it's been around for a while and it's tested and has a lot of features. So Benoit says, we clarified that earlier. He makes us feel experienced. Yes, we're all just here to remind each other of all the old stuff so we can be like, oh, yeah. Yeah, part of the reason I want to go back to IRC is just because, man, I just missed the late 90s. Fade says XML for everybody. Yes, definitely you have XML stanzas out the wazoo with XMPP. XMPP is not a fun thing to say. Jabber is better. Benoit says Z modem anyone? Yeah, let's not go back that far. Daniel says Twitch chat is also IRC based. That was one thing that kind of surprised me. And if you've ever like watched a really a Twitch stream with a lot of people on it at the same time, and you see how fast the chat is flying by, it's kind of surprising that they have their server using IRC for that. Alejandro says, I wonder if we can make a markup language which mimics Lisp. That would be cool. Fade says, IRC is just about the simplest protocol that can still work. Yeah. I mean, it's just like a line-oriented protocol, right? So, pretty cool. Oh, thanks, Daniel, for cheering 40 bits. I don't know what 40 bits are, but that's cool. Well, stateless protocols are good, you know. They're better in some ways. Modem over WebRTC, yeah. It's yeah, any of the text-based protocols that are really like low level, like IRC basically, or you know, any of the email type protocols, they're much easier to work with. Okay, Bibumi. Yeah, Fade says most of the additions to chat have been adding state to IRC. Yeah, so just a bunch of like history stuff, and also extra little doodads like emoji reactions to messages and stuff, which technically speaking is state because you have to refer to a previous message to attach any new reactions that come in. So yeah, it is state in the end. And then if you, if you were to have history syncing, I guess you would have to be storing the actual control messages for everything to replay all of that so that your state on the client is up to date. Because the server probably is not going to aggregate all of those emoji reaction control messages onto the original message whenever it replays that for history. Alejandro says, IRC seems to be the way to go. The question is, how many people are we going to lose? Well, you know, I think what we should do is experiment with things like the lounge. We can do that right now without having to say that we're doing anything to Matrix. We can try setting up a lounge instance and get people to try it out, see what the problems are, come up with documentation for how a modern chat user should join the site, set up the app on their phone, all that kind of stuff. Just sort of work out all the details. And then once all that stuff is kind of fleshed out, then we could start talking about maybe dropping Matrix again. I did see Summer on, yeah, Summer's in this chat right now. I don't think she's actually, you know, active, but she must have joined somehow. So I saw her in here earlier. So I don't know exactly what that's all about, but you know, if Summer is able to join IRC somehow, then it means that there must be an app or something that's making it possible. But, you know, she's pretty savvy when it comes to setting up server stuff. So she may have a bouncer or something. So let's see. Yeah, that's my thinking right now. Is like, let's try to set something like this up and see if it would work for people. Because, you know, it'd be nice to have a chat.systemcrackers.net or something. That someone could join and have a nice experience and have it install as a phone app. And we sort of have control over how the user experience goes. Yes, ping Case on XMPP. Tell him he should come back. Summer Glau? No, Summer Emacs. Could be Summer Glau, who knows? All right. Oh, Yele says, I missed that part of the stream. Did we look at Soju too? Not in any depth, but it is a good solution. We looked at sort of like the clients that are made for Soju. Interesting that this is on the Libra Chat. Oh, it's probably a mirror because the real code lives on source hut. That makes sense. So Soju balancer. Soju is nice because it's easy to set up and it sort of does the things that you want it to do. Soji? No, Soju. It does the things that you want it to do, like, you know, history replay, etc. That is another part of this. I would like to host an IRC bouncer for those who do want to use a bouncer but don't want to have to set it up themselves. So something like Soju could be a good solution because it's probably not as complicated to set up. And I think that Geeks can do a good job of generating configuration for it. It's not in the Geeks package repo yet. I think it's written in Go, so that could be one of the reasons why that it hasn't been packaged, because, you know, Go things are a bit more complicated because of all the dependencies. Let's see, source, man. For per client history to work, yada, yada. Yeah, the thing about things like Soju is you do need some documentation to tell a user how to set it up successfully on their IRC client, because it has extra features like per client history, which is nice. Well, I think Soju could be packaged into main Geeks. It doesn't really need non-Geeks. It's just a matter of, like, you know, figuring out if all the Go dependencies that it needs are in the package repo and up to date. I wonder if, what command is that? Geeks import. It has a Go importer. Daniel slaps system crackers around with a little bit of trout, with a large trout. Yeah, that's some MIRC meme. Right. Benoit says non-Geeks would make it possible to package without dependencies, just a binary. Yeah, if it had to go that far, sure. But I don't really think it needs to. So let's see. Importer args. Can I get help for an importer, like import Go? Generate package expressions for all Go modules that are not yet in Geeks. Cool. So let's just try it. I don't know. Be kind of interesting. Package path. Does this get represented as a package, I wonder? There's a Go mod. Maybe that's enough. Can I just, oops, not that. Right there. Kind of curious what this will do. Failed to import, could not be fetched, 404 not found. So because it's not on the Golang proxy server, which I think is because SourceHut said F you to Google, and maybe it doesn't allow the proxy server to use it. Let's see, SourceHut Go proxy. Oh, SourceHut will not blacklist the Go module mirror. Well, it doesn't seem to be working, does it? Whoops, what's it say? 429? Oh, okay, so it just says 404 instead. Maybe I did something wrong. I'm no expert when it comes to Go stuff. Like, I've only used Go very, very little, so I could be wrong about how this is supposed to work. Drop to HTTPS. Let's try it. Oh, maybe it works. Hey, look at that. Good call, Benoit. If this just works like right out of the box, I'll be so impressed. It may be the first time I've actually used import. Does it have a node import also? No. Doesn't look like it. It has JSON. I don't know what that means. How many repos are we pulling right now? I'm in a really bad folder path for this too. Like I'm in this site folder, which is probably read only, symlinked over to the Geek store or the GNU store. Alejandro says all of them. It does seem like it, doesn't it? That's a lot of Git repos it's pulling. Let's see what proced says. Git pull Git. Huh. Must be doing everything inside of Guile. Benoit says, you're going to have 200 packages, 3 of which will build, 150 will conflicts with Geeks' versions. You're probably right. And the other thing is that they're going to want to have access to C compilers, and there's no way to, I think there's no way to directly express a dependency on a particular C compiler or version or anything. So yeah, they're not going to build. Oh, so we're just now following the redirect to this other WebSocket library. This is going to take 20 years, I think. Anyway, Soju. If it could be a good way to start the weekend, yeah. If it could be packaged for geeks, then I think it could be pretty easy to write a service for, because it has a text-based configuration format that I think is quite straightforward. I looked at this at some point in the past, and I never really spent any time on it. I think these are all the configuration fields. IRC service, bouncer serve. Oh, these are IRC commands. Maybe this is the config settings. Config file. 1 directive per line. Stupidly simple. Like, that's good. That's a good format for geeks to write out. Yele says, Gamja may be doable too with the binary npm importer. I haven't seen that one yet. Whew, what is happening? What is it doing? It feels like it's trying to pull too many packages. What is this Go Web... Oh, hold on. Go WebSocket. It's probably not the same one. What is this in Huyer? Nope. So that package probably does not exist. All right. It's downloading the internet. Well, it certainly feels like it, doesn't it? And I have no idea what it's going to do with this imported package definition as soon as it gets finished. So we're going to have to run through the whole thing again. Anyway, point being, this does seem to be a better sort of out-of-the-box solution compared to ZNC, because ZNC is kind of fiddly. If you have this, and did I just see 4K? What are we talking about? Oh, okay, 4,000 messages. Okay, we're not talking about resolution here. That's fine. Oh, I saw ZNC also mentioned. Same format as ZNC. Okay. So you should be able to create new users, I think, using commands on the bouncer. So if you're an admin, create, network create user status, user create, yeah. So an admin can create new users for people. Also, the implication is that if you have a website where you are letting people register for accounts on the bouncer, the backend for the website could actually connect to IRC and send these commands over to Soju to create users, if there isn't a way to just like put a file on the hard drive. However, if you have like the service installed and then you're using these commands to create users, you're sort of sidestepping the configuration system of geeks. So that part is not so good. one of the things I was thinking about in the past is like, it would be nice if a user management system would generate like a scheme file with records for all the users, and then the Geeks configuration would load all that up and then apply the configuration to the system anytime you want to add or remove a user. Basically, it sounds like a lot of overhead, but if the system hasn't been, if you haven't pulled the Geeks channels since the last time, it should be pretty instantaneous to make those changes. But I think that's a better way to do it, because at least you could check in that user list to Git, and then if you have to like, you know, delete the server and redeploy it, then maybe you could recover some of the configuration and not have it be stored away in some kind of like local configuration files for this program. That's another reason why like writing your own services could be better for an environment like Geeks, because at least you could design them in a way where it could have a static or declarative configuration that could be applied using Geeks. But, you know, maybe that's taking it too far. I don't know. For me, I don't want to have to remember how to do something. It's better if Geeks can just take care of doing all the things for me after I've figured out how to configure it the first time. Anytime I need to like redeploy the system or maybe replicate it somewhere else. But yeah, not easy to do that in all cases. This is just going and going, man. I can't tell what's happening. Benoit says, let's hop on the collab channel this weekend and get it done. It should be 30 minutes of work. That would be cool. We could also build a service type, add it to Shepherd, and configure some params. I built some services recently. Yeah, I mean, if we can figure out how to package this thing, whether it's you know, using the binary or figuring out how to package the Go packages directly, then it'll be kind of cool. Alejandro says, any way to instruct Geeks Home to clone a Git repo? Well, there was some kind of feature for Geeks Home called state. Some kind of state thing, and I don't know that ever materialized. That was supposed to be a way that you could clone a Git repo as part of a Geeks Home config. The only other way, yeah, Benoit says, look at RDE, there's a state service type. Maybe RDE has it built in, but it definitely isn't fully implemented for vanilla Geeks Home. Man, this thing is just going and going. What's it doing? All right. What else? Like I said before, I would prefer to use something like this over ZNC, because ZNC is just, you know, got a lot more components to it. The upside of ZNC, though, is that there is a ZNC package for Geeks, and there may even be a let's see, Geeks, services, networking services, is it messaging services, ZNC. I thought there was one. Maybe there isn't one, but it would be possible to make one, I think. Info go up, you. Okay. What was the other one? Networking services? Probably not there. IRC. There is a ZNC service type. Well, it's definitely not in messaging. It must be somewhere else. Is it in networking? Game servers. Oh, really? It's not in the docs. Maybe it's not documented. Let's see. SCM. Services. Messaging. ZNC. Yep. Is it new? Maybe it's new. Well, no, let's not do that. Let's go into projects, code, Geeks. Let's just pull the latest stuff on that. If that's new, that'd be pretty cool. Let's see how long this takes. Where are we in the commit history on this repo? 7 months, 5 months. Okay, cool. Oh, okay, is it 4 months? So we're at least 4 months old on this. It might take a while to pull the latest stuff on that. Just like we're pulling on the other repo as well. Where is that now? Oh, it did something. Whoa, hey, how about that? Eventually, it finally pushed out a configuration. Who knows if it will actually work though? That is a lot of output, dude. How many lines is this? And how much duplication are we talking? Okay, let's see. That'll be funny to drop into the show notes, won't it? Org. ZNC Geeks Packages, question mark. Hey, SC? Okay, there we go. So, control, go SC config. Benoit says, won't work, been there. Yeah, I got a feeling it won't work either. Man, they got a lot of really granular packages here. Sherlock Holmes. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of packages. Typical Go, just like Node. They gotta have all these granular packages that do a million things. And it's like hell for distro packagers. ZNC is in home service messaging master line 58. All right, let's go back to messaging. Are we up to date here now? Magit log. Ah, that's the wrong file. Okay, I think we're good now. So messaging services, you said it was line 58? Huh. Oh, home service. Oh. That's why. All right, so home ZNC configuration. It's interesting this is a home service and not a system service. And it's a pretty basic service that doesn't do anything except for just pass along configuration, it seems. So home ZNC, extra options, list of strings. Ah, yeah, so effectively, it's just a default ZNC instance. And then you just have random strings you're throwing in to be extra lines for the file whenever it gets executed. So you're just running it in your user level shepherd, which honestly seems wrong to me. Yeah, it seems wrong because if you're using this on a laptop, then it defeats the purpose. If you're using this on your user account on a server at your house, it's a little bit more understandable. But I mean, I don't really see that we're configuring ports or anything. So how are you going to connect to this? See, I'm not certain how this is going to help. Anyway, good to see that somebody tried to do it. This could be a basis for like a service level configuration or system level configuration. I see that it's called home ZNC configuration, so there is room for a system level config. Anyway, yes, Soju is simpler. If it could be packaged effectively, then it would be a lot better, I think. Oops, that was bookmarking. I pressed Control D, which works in Emacs, but does not work in the browser. All right, so that was a bunch of talking just to get to the point to see what we might do about improving the IRC experience so that eventually we could maybe move people over to IRC only. I don't know, like over time, I just keep getting the feeling that Matrix is too complicated, too heavy, too slow. It has some nice features, but I don't know that the features that it provides actually gives us a huge benefit on top of what IRC provides. And if you make some practical choices and maybe host some services that target certain types of users like the lounge or an IRC bouncer or whatever, then you have the possibility of serving the widest possible kinds of users using only IRC, and not having to rely on something like Matrix. I feel like Libra Chat is pretty reliable as an IRC service because there's a lot of weight behind it. People care about that network. So it's not like we have to go make a System Crafter's IRC network. I would definitely not want to do that because you're kind of like isolating yourself from the rest of the free software landscape. Definitely good to be near the Hash Emacs channel or the Hash Geeks channel so that people can join all those places as well, and wherever else. Even for Flux Harmonic, like I would like to have a chat channel for that project, I guess you could say. And I would probably set up IRC for that too, even though I had a Discord for that originally. But I feel like, man, I don't want to depend on these super heavy protocols and clients and servers. Jeff says encryption is a nice feature, but getting whatever the name is, Pantaleimon, set up for that is challenging. I got it working once, but never again. Gave up on it and moved to just using the web client. Yeah, if you want to have end-to-end encrypted chats on Matrix without using the Element client, then you have to use some kind of local proxy, and it is hard to set that up. Well, I guess not necessarily hard, but it is a roadblock for people who would otherwise just be able to use it. Case is thrilled by the current subject of moving back to IRC. I hope he is. Is he in the chat now? One user has joined and left. Okay. All right, so he's not there yet. There's ABCDW, which is Andrew Tropin, but I haven't seen Andrew. I didn't know that Andrew was in this channel, actually. So, there's a lot of people worth talking to in this channel. I want to be able to talk to the people who are here. And I want those of us who enjoyed being in IRC to be able to go back to IRC. So, ultimately, that is the solution. It's just, we have to do the work to get back there. I mean, who doesn't want to talk to Goober Patrol 66? So let's see. Anything else interesting worth talking about? Outstanding people here, Benoit says. Yes, I agree, 100%. Like if it wasn't for the group of people who have been, regularly coming back to the streams and to the chat, I would have stopped doing all this stuff a long time ago. So the fact that I'm still streaming is just because all of you are here. It's a lot of fun having people to talk to on a daily basis and, just chat about whatever kind of stuff we're working on. And, it's good to have a community to be a part of, I think. I appreciate it. Having the community around, like, I would be here probably if I wasn't, sort of organizing it, because it's nice people talking about fun stuff. So some of the mainline channels, like, going into the main Emacs channel, the main Geeks channel, there's too much of like a people trying to get help vibe where it's not so casual as we are in like the System Crafters General chat where we're just sort of hanging out and talking. Like Benoit says, System Crafters is like a weird family. Yeah, you don't get that vibe in like the main project channels for a lot of the software that we use. Alejandro says, is it possible to instruct Twitch to use a particular IRC server and channel? No, they just have their own thing. But okay, there's two things that are in my mind right now. One is I had the thought that it would be cool if we could have a System Crafters -live channel for live streams so that we can primarily have the stream chat in a real IRC channel on Libra Chat instead of having to join the Twitch IRC. And if we do that, we would want to mirror that chat across to the Twitch chat, which I think is not very hard to do. Obviously, you could bridge things over. But there's a funny thing that Twitch mentioned recently. So I'm kind of doing things backwards right now. For the longest time, you could not be a Twitch affiliate or partner, which is a person who gets paid to be on Twitch. I've not. Okay, let me go back. You cannot be a Twitch affiliate or partner and then also be streaming on another platform simultaneously. So what I've been doing for like the past 2 years is streaming simultaneously on Twitch and YouTube. I was able to do that on Twitch because I never signed up for affiliate. And I've avoided it for that long because I wanted to stream in both places. Maybe like 2 weeks ago, Twitch announced that now affiliates and partners can stream on multiple platforms simultaneously and it doesn't violate the terms of service. And now is the time I've decided, maybe I should stream only on one platform at the same time. There is an aspect of their announcement that did sort of inspire me to only do it on one platform, and that is that they say you can stream on multiple platforms simultaneously, but you cannot merge the chat of multiple platforms together and have that chat be in Twitch or on the screen at the same time, because they're somehow afraid that a Twitch user seeing chat comments from a YouTube user is going to make the Twitch user want to go to YouTube. I don't get it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So the reason why I mention that now is that if I go mirror an IRC channel to the Twitch chat, I don't think that violates it because it's not coming from YouTube. It's coming from IRC. So it's not like a streaming platform conflict, but it is kind of funny that they had this new restriction that you can't mirror the chat between streaming platforms. So all the things I said at the beginning of the stream about why I'm trying to do Twitch only for a little while are irrelevant to what I just said, because I do think that it makes sense to try to like gather all the viewers in one place and see if that helps to attract more people to the channel while they see it on Twitch. So I don't know. Yes, everything's funny. Funny, he said. Yes, I don't know. When I say something is funny, I mean that it's interesting or sad. All right. But yeah, going back to the point, I think that mirroring an actual legit IRC channel over to the Twitch IRC channel could be a way to have people be on Twitch chat and have that go into IRC chat. One thing I thought about is it is possible to embed the Twitch streaming interface into a web page. So you could imagine having systemcrafters.net/live to be a place where you could go. You're getting a 404 right now, but if it worked, I could have the Twitch stream embedded into this page, and then below that have an IRC chat so that you could chat through IRC on this page. There's a project called Kiwi IRC, which is a web-only IRC client where you could join a channel straight from the browser without any kind of intermediary service. So we could have a page where like it's our own landing page for doing weekly live streams. You just go there instead of going straight to Twitch. It's still using Twitch, but we could also have our own chat. So I don't know if it matters. Glenn says, for what it's worth and not being familiar with the technical aspects, I'm okay with Matrix or IRC. Not much help, sorry. Well, it is help because I consider you one of the people who I would not want to lose if we were to gradually move away from Matrix, right? There's a few people who have joined the community on Matrix who we had never seen before on IRC, and I would not want to lose any of those people as a result of trying to make another move. So this is why I'm asking for feedback from people in Matrix, because I want to double check that everybody's cool with the possibility of things changing, because I don't want to lose anybody, you know, like Benoit says, it's like a weird family. You don't want to like just exile someone just because we're making technical changes again. One day, hopefully, all of these technical changes will be done and we will have a more stable community situation. But if I know myself at all, probably I'll always be looking to try something new. So I don't know. You just have to ride along with me. But yeah, IRC is fun, and I would like to spend more time in IRC, so that's what we're going to try to do ultimately. And yeah, if anybody wants to help with getting the bouncer situation set up, I know Benoit is talking about trying to do that. It'd be nice to have an easy to use bouncer for anyone in the community to join onto, and have some good docs basically to help people get set up with it, either with an IRC client in Emacs or one on their phone, because you'll probably need one of both. OmniVV said, IRC is nice, especially using it via Emacs feels nice and geeky. I like geeky stuff. I guess that's why I follow David and System Crafters. Yeah, I think, we just kind of like all this kind of geeky, tweaky, weird stuff. Glenn says, how can we help? Well, I mean, for those of you who are in Matrix currently, like just trying out whatever stuff that we put together would be a huge help, just to see whether it's sufficient for your use cases. I know, Glenn, you already have the ZNC set up, but if we have our own bouncer set up, you could try to check that out. I mean, people don't need to use the bouncer that we set up. If anyone has their own ZNC set up, they should use that. That's the beauty of IRC. Everybody just uses whatever they want. You don't have to use any particular thing to get to be a part of the community, to be a part of the chat. Look at that. This XKCD shows up here in Lounge Chat. How nice, right? Wow, it even goes full screen. 2004, our team stays in touch over IRC. 2010, our team mainly uses Skype, but some of us prefer to stick to IRC. 2017, we've got almost everyone on Slack, but 3 people refuse to quit IRC and connect via gateway. And I think Slack turned off the IRC gateway at some point, right? 2051, all consciousnesses have merged with the galactic singularity, except for one guy who insists on joining through his IRC client. I just have it set up the way I want it, okay? Yeah, that sounds like Emacs users too, right? Old XKCD always hits it right on the nose. There we go. We got some Twitch emotes in the chat. I think I was trying to make a point before that, and I totally got derailed. Benoit says, yeah, I should have a working package today, possibly a basic system services weekend. Yeah, really, if you're not trying to build the code from scratch with Geeks packages, it's not so bad, and it's okay, Cal. Then it was a very timely reference. Totally fine. I don't know if you're watching the stream now, so I don't know if you can actually hear that I'm speaking to you. Anyway, system services aren't so bad. I mean, like the first couple times you try to write a Geek service, it is a little confusing, but then it's pretty good. Benoit says ERC Twitch supports emotes. That's kind of cool. Apparently there's some API you can call for any channel on Twitch. So Twitch Emoji API, where you can download, and this is on the IRC docs, by the way, you can download all the emotes for a given channel so that it can be displayed correctly in a client. So I think that for anyone, like the official API for chat is IRC for Twitch, which is kind of funny. Is there anything for chat in the Twitch API? No. So for chat, if you want to have chat integration with Twitch in your program, you use the IRC endpoint. I can't say that I've seen any major product have IRC integration like as a mainline API, but it's pretty cool to see that with Twitch. Not that I think it makes them great, but it's just kind of, it's charming. I said funny again. I keep saying funny, right? All right. So I think that's it, right? Like, hopefully, my rambling and my thought process makes sense now. And I know that some of you are on board with this idea, so that's cool. ERC Twitch, it must be a package. Yeah, it's on Melpa. So we'll give this stuff a shot. I definitely want to try to get back into IRC primarily, but I also have to be on Matrix 2 in the meantime. But maybe we'll gradually get people interested in trying out the IRC stuff as we go. Some people may just switch over to IRC anyway, regardless of the limitations, and that's fine too. But I would still like to help out people who want to join. It also could be that if people don't really need the lounge chat as a bouncer type interface, we could have this be a public interface where someone could join in. If they don't have an IRC client yet, they could just sort of join in and use this and enjoy it. So I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, sometimes I tend to take things farther than maybe they need to go just because I'm trying to like hit some ideal that I think is necessary. Maybe it's not necessary. We'll see. Wax CA Tape says, I've only joined System Crafters on Matrix recently as Wei Kadosi, but I'm personally cool with IRC as well. Not very familiar with either of those two options. That's my 2 cents. Yeah. Benoit said, Case will join later. Well, Case should have been here already because the stream's ending now. So, okay. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for being here today to go with me through this experiment of streaming only on Twitch. Personally, I kind of liked it. We had about 25 to 30 people steadily through the stream, so that was good. Definitely the most so far on Twitch. So maybe we can try that again next week, and we'll see if people are upset about not having a recording. I might be able to download the recording from Twitch and then upload it to YouTube. I don't know how that works, but if it's good enough quality, I could still try to do that. So anyway, let me know. Any of you should feel free to let me know what you think about any of this stuff, streaming on Twitch or IRC versus Matrix, etc. Either on Matrix or IRC or on Fediverse or on email, whatever you want. And YouTube DLP. That's a good point. I might be able to download a good quality RIP using that. Lag? Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. Messaging was smoother for sure. No StreamBot lag. Yes, ReStreamBot is not ideal. That's the thing. Is like if you try to do that multi-streaming thing, you're always going to have friction because you're doing something you really shouldn't be doing. So better to be in one place. Inprin says you might want to update the About System Crafters part on Twitch. Is it missing something? I don't really know. Alejandro says, is the stream stored on Twitch? Yeah, it should be stored for at least 14 days, but it goes away eventually. So I have to get it at some point and re-upload it. Cool. All right. Thanks, folks. I appreciate you all being here today. Like I said, let me know if you have any comments in the other places where we discuss things. And until next time, happy hacking. Hope you have a great weekend. See you next time.